We all know power corrupts. But what about statistical power? That's oddly the same word. And in statistics, it's a really big thing. People love to talk about statistical power. But what does it actually mean? It's a very good question. So there's many things to consider here, but if we focus on the most important one, the first thing that you have when it comes to statistical power that you can look at is how representative is your sample. So in other words, what you're saying, does it really tell you something about the whole that you're looking at? So, or do you only look at a snapshot? Or maybe a small sample, something that might really not tell you anything about the bigger picture here, but is something that could change if you get more data. So in other words, how representative is your sample and how well have you taken care of all the biases and all the challenges that you have in sampling data? So that's the first thing that you have when it comes to statistical power, how you get your data. Second thing is analysis. There are some analyses that are more powerful than others. And this is a moving target. This is something that is changing very much because statistics evolves. There are some things who are a little bit more on the careful end of the spectrum, and then there's more bold statistics that haven't been fully tested. And there's really these different flavors of what people try out. And you can be really simplistic when it comes to statistics, or you can have totally out of control something new that people really don't understand so much. So that happened before, it will happen again. So keeping it simple when it comes to analysis, but also considering all the different options that you have, is very powerful. But that only comes out of experience. So, and the last thing is the interpretation, because we all need to be aware of that from a stance of philosophy of science. There's much to be known, but our knowledge is failing us all the time. So we always need to be humble, and we always need to be careful in what we know and how restrictive our knowledge can be. So that's something that is very important, because we constantly overplay our hand in the empirical science and claim to know more than we actually do. Because this knowledge is also singular, it's very often from a certain viewpoint, it ignores, if not alienates, other types of knowledge, and so on. So, and that's why statistical power also corrupts. We need a certain humbleness where we know, okay, we look at part of the picture maybe with a specific array of analysis, and our knowledge is fleeting, if not failing. Well, does that mean it's all in vain and it's all not worthwhile? Quite the contrary. We need to be explicit in the limitations that we have, but we also need to be very implicit in saying it would be wise to act based on the knowledge that we have if we don't have any better knowledge. So we should know that with great statistical power comes great responsibility. And learning this, learning to interpret this, making the right choices, and especially the right nuances in being careful in how much you can say with your statistical analysis. That is something that takes a lot of experience. That is something that you need to learn.